Welcome to the Ruden Report podcast. I'm Dave Ruden. Busy time of the year. It's always busy time, but we've got football season now, except for one team on the countdown to Thanksgiving. And for me, we've got the last week of state playoffs, and it's been a really glorious run for the FCAC. And I'm gonna bore my co-host here, my special analyst Sean Ireland, with a minute or two of non-football talk. Sean, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Dave. And listen, I follow soccer. You can ask any of the coaches up at school. Like I follow all the sports. So I follow what's going on always with Norwalk High first, FCX second, and our league is very well represented right now in pretty much all the postseason sports that are currently going on.
Yeah, and actually, just a little bit of a warning here. If we lose Sean, street internet problems there, so I'll try to solo it. Hopefully, we won't have an issue. But if we've lost him for a couple of seconds here or there, here just prepping. But anyhow, for me, I played soccer, so I love soccer to begin with, and this has just been. It's been a really, really cool soccer season. We're definitely gonna, for the third time in 4 years, we're gonna have an FCAC team in the Class L final, because Stanford and Greenwich play each other Wednesday, and Fairfield Ludlow plays Hall in the other half of the bracket. So we could have an all FCAC final, and I'm only bringing this up because right before we started, all the locations and times and sites were released, but. For me, and Sean, we kind of talked about a little bit because of the noise in your neighborhood, and we're going to actually be at Norwalk, so you're going to have more noise in your neighborhood.
Nice.
For Stanford Greenwich, which is going to be at Norwalk on Wednesday. But it's so cool what Stanford's doing. And yesterday, I got up, and anybody who knows me, I don't play well at 8 a.m. But I was up after Friday night football to go see Stanford play West Hill at a 10 o'clock game. And it brought back memories to my Stanford Advocate days, covering Stanford sports. And it was really cool to see two Stanford teams and two teams. One team you definitely didn't expect to get to the quarterfinals, and another that you wouldn't have expected a month ago, but that got hot to see them play the Battle of Stanford for everybody, and then the Greenwich on the other half beating Glastonbury, and congratulations to Cardinal coach Kirk Putnam on win number 300.
Oof. That's a lot of wins.
That's a lot of wins. He's done a great job there. You talk about Greenwich getting all the football players. He's got like 100 players that come out for soccer. So
yeah, they got 3,000 kids in the school. There's plenty to go around.
Yeah, but it's been cool for me. It's just been a really nice run. You had the 32 seed Ridgefield knocking off number 1 Staples in the first round, and then this is the game I'm most excited to see. This is the game I maybe most excited to see of any. Just because of the caliber of play and the first 2 games, but and it sucks that this game's a semifinal and not a final. But St. Joseph and Staples girls soccer teams are playing in the semifinals on Tuesday night at Ward. The first game, regular season game, was a 1-1 tie, and it was the best sporting event by far I've covered at the level of play, the best I've covered this year. And then they met in the semifinal, in the FCAC final a week ago, and St. Joe's came away with a 2-1 win, and that was played at a really high level, not quite the caliber of the regular season game. So this is going. They're the 2 best teams, and St. Joe's girls, you could argue is maybe the best team of in any sport out of the FCAC. Well, actually, I take that back. Ridgefield boys just cross country won the New England title, so I'll hold back on that. But I'm rambling around here. I'll make a point at some point. I'm looking forward to the game because it's really soccer played at a high level.
Yeah, and I know, and forgive me because I don't know their names. I know St. Joe's has that one girl who's just special, right?
Alexa Pino.
Yeah, I was gonna say her last name begins with P.
Yeah.
I seen a few of her highlights and clips on social media, and man, she scored a goal. It must have been the SCX champ. It was some goal. It looked like it was at
Last year she
Buchanan High
won.
School.
She won the ESPN Gatorade like high school play of the year with a goal she scored last year.
Yeah, yeah, but she's something else. She's something else.
And Staples has a girl, Natalie Chudowski, who's the only soccer player in the state that's playing on a national team.
Okay.
And you've got a whole bunch of really good Taylor Jenkins, the center mid for St. Joe's, and Chudowski's sister Evelyn. It's just really good soccer, and then quick shout out. We've got in field hockey, which always is the case. We've got 3 of the 4 Class L semifinalists are from the FCAC. Darien, Staples, they're always there, and and then New Canaan in Class M, and volleyball. We're going to have a team, Darien Trumbull, play a semifinal. They're going to be in the finals, and St. Joseph in Class. I can't remember if they're L or M. I think they're M. So shout out to, before we get into football talk, shout out to all these non-football teams for excellent seasons and representing the league so well. And now football talk's not quite as exciting.
Another boring week, Dave. Another boring week.
I'm telling you, it's just this is just it is boring, and it's vanilla, because you get all. Now, I'm not going to say all pumped up, but you go to Wilton thinking Wilton Ludlow could be. I expected Wilton to win, and I expected them to win by maybe 2 touchdowns or so, because Ludlow just on the line, the scrimmage is not going to match up with big teams. But did I expect 63-22? No.
Right.
And that game was scoreless after the first quarter. It was 85 points in 3 quarters.
I said it last week. I think Wilton would pull away in the second half, but I didn't think it was going to be like that. Like it was, it wasn't a tight contest. It just wasn't a great game, unfortunately.
And the game that it was the second best game probably on paper, though I didn't think it was the matchup was particularly appealing. But then you have Staples and St. Joseph, and Staples in a different class from St. Joseph this year. They used to play a bunch of late season important games. In fact, St. Joe's won a few games by field goals that knocked Staples out of postseason contention. But this was a 49-3 game, and not a lot of fun. But a shout out to the Staples defense, which is getting overshadowed by Caleb Smith, and I think I saw they have 15 interceptions already, and I guess they made 2 stops in within the 5-yard line early that kind of took any possible mystery out of the game.
Yeah, I still think Staples would have won, but it's always a bunch of woulda, coulda, shoulda. What would have happened if St. Joe's punched those in? Because it is very demoralizing driving down the field and then getting stuffed on the 1-yard line. It all the wind comes out of your sails, and then on top of that, now they start scoring. So if they punch one of those in, I still think Staples wins, but it would have been.
Staples was still going to win the game. It would have been, but yeah, at least it would have held your interest longer than it did.
Right. So, and I said it last week, Dave, and you just said it now. Staples defense is legit. They are good. They are physical. Their kids in the secondary fly to the ball. They it's almost like they're on offense, like the ball's in the air. They're going for it like they're the wide receiver. Staples is good, and that I'm anxious to see what's going to come down. What's going to happen on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that, because we're going to have a lot of Thanksgiving talk coming up, because there's actually several games of you have the best game in the state on Thanksgiving, but you got we'll get to those. but we're actually gonna have a fun game on Friday night. What stinks for Wilton is good for everybody else, and Wilton doesn't have a Thanksgiving Day game, and they have Shelton now, which is we're gonna have a preview of two state playoff teams, because I'm pretty certain Wilton's sitting at third right now in Class Double M, and I think they can handle a loss and will still get in, but a win's going to get them a home game in the first round.
Yeah, I think Wilton's in. I'm pretty sure they're in no matter what. But it is a big game for them. You know, you never want to go on the road in the States. You're much more comfortable playing at home. I was actually with a buddy last night who went to Wilton, and he was like, "Do you think the game's going to be crowded?" I said, "I think it's going to be packed, because Shelton's going to bring down their crew. Wilton, it's crowded all the time. They have a great fan base, but now, all right,
Everybody's going to be scouting. Everyone's going to be
exactly.
Everyone's going to be
Every
scouting
team who might play Wilton and every team who might play Shelton, they're all going to be there. So I think it's going to be a good environment on Friday night.
I'd never seen this before, and this is Wilton's got a great, Wilton student body fan base is probably top three. But it was senior night, and God bless the people at Wilton who do the senior night celebration at like 6:20 and not 7 o'clock. So whoever's idea that was, we in the media love you.
Yeah.
but I'll tell you what, I got to Wilton, it was probably like 6:10. No, it was probably like 6:15, 6:20 by the time I got out of my car, and I'm walking up and I could hear it. And there are probably like 100 kids already there holding signs up for all the seniors. I mean, how many student fan bases are going to show up a half hour before
Right.
a game just to be there for senior day activities? I thought that said something to the Wilton fan base. That
Yeah, they're very good. They're very good. They pack the place. They're knowledgeable fans too. But yeah, that's gonna be a nice scene at Fujitani Field on Friday.
I'll tell you what, though, the fans didn't care. There were not a lot of people singing "God Bless America" at the end of the third quarter. They had emptied out.
Yeah.
They had decided, with the score being what it was, there were better things to do on Friday night than to watch the second half or fourth quarter of that game.
Yeah, my buddy actually said he left in halfway through the third quarter too.
Yeah, I kind of checked out a little bit. I got to hang out with Tim Egan, so that was
That's always fun.
I hang out with Tim Egan, and I Heimbeck to his assistant baseball coach. I forget his first name, but we had a good time. We had a good time talking. I hadn't seen Tim in a while, so that kind of occupied the time until I had to go do interviews.
Yeah.
So why don't we just sort of bounce around, because I think there's definitely greater clarity right now, I think, to the playoff picture than we had. And I just lost my screen here that I had. Well, I have everything. I have everything down here. But I think Class Double L, we're all set right now. Seeding's the only question mark. Going from the bottom up, Stanford's is in sixth place, and they're going to beat West Hill.
Are they in sixth or seventh?
I think they're sixth. I wrote
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I lost. I hit the wrong. I clicked out of my screen right here. I closed it instead of moved it. So, but they're sitting in sixth, and they got Southington ahead of them. And I think Southington plays Cheshire. So Stanford could move up to 5, and they don't want to move up to 4 because if form holds,
4 and 5 or 6.
They played Greenwich tough. I mean, one of the top 3 teams is winning, and Greenwich is going to play Staples on Thanksgiving morning, and that'll affect them. And West Haven's at number 2. And right now, if you're those 3 teams, you don't want to see the other 2 until the final and not the semifinal.
Right.
That's really, you'd rather be seeded once, or you'd almost be rather be seated if they were 2 and 3, be seated fourth. But
Right.
that's you want to be one and let the other two be 2 and 3. So that game actually is important to me. Well, it's important for bragging rights, and it's going to be a big game, and it could be the first time in first of a couple of meetings in a short span of time. But if you're Greenwich, you want to hold on there and finish as the 1 seed and keep West Haven Staples hopefully 2 and 3.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you definitely want to be the 1 seed. That's always a goal to have, you know. So if they can win this, clinch that 1 seed, they'd be okay. But I do like, and we said this before. I just hate that. I hate that first round matchup between schools in the same conference. Like I would hate for Stanford to bump if Staples loses. If Stanford bumps up to 5, Staples bumps down to 4. No, come on.
Nah,
That
2 weeks in a row, 2 games in a row. Nobody, maybe the losing team of that game will want to see it. But yeah,
now
it's
if Staples wins, do they get enough bonus points where they'll jump to 1?
I gotta look it all over. I
They
haven't
might just flip flop.
yeah, I haven't really looked at that carefully and figured it out yet. I've just been so busy with all the other sports going on. But you raise a really good point in that everybody will tell you in all sports. I've been talking with coaches about this the last week because the FCI gets so many teams in state tournament, and it's not like a state tournament for you if you're just going to play all FCI teams.
Right,
There are teams that have to have St. Joe, just off the top of my head, St. Joe's and Staples to get to the semifinals, how to beat FCI teams. And there are teams that have gotten to the finals, beaten all or maybe all but one FCI team. So it doesn't seem like a state tournament if you're not playing teams you're not familiar with outside
right,
the conference.
right. I agree with that 100%.
So actually, well, we're going to bring them up in a second. So I had something else I wanted to bring up, but Class L, New Canaan's sitting in 2. With a win, they definitely could get up. They could definitely jump up to number 1 with Naugatuck ahead of them, right?
Yeah. Well,
Naugatuck,
Naugatuck plays Ansonia. They're
Sonia,
both obviously very good. But if Ansonia wins and
and
New Canaan wins, they're
New
Definitely
Canaan's
the one
number
seed.
1.
Now, the
The
thing that's crazy, Dave, is if New Canaan wins, if that scenario plays out and Darien drops to 8, they're going to play the
yeah.
same team again next week.
How much would that suck if we had Greenwich, Staples, and New Canaan Darien back to back?
Oh, that would be brutal.
That
That would
would,
be
I mean, we're talking about Darien. How much does it say? We're talking about, I don't want to see Darien and New Canaan again. But
right.
yeah, I let them both win a game or something, and then let's see them in the semis or the finals, because we had that stretch a while back where they played each other in the FCX championship game or on Thanksgiving, and a lot of times the FCX championship game was Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And they played each other, but they didn't play each other until the finals. So it was
Right.
it was 2 finals. At least there's enough separation there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, you don't want to see the same game back to back.
No. No. And I
Unless
think
you're unless you're Darien and you lose and it got you, you're still
yeah.
they,
Yeah, Darien wouldn't complain.
yeah.
Darien would not complain if they're the 8th seed. If they
I
lose and
can't
they hang on.
I can't tell if Darien is in with a loss, and there are teams right behind them that are in
Right.
contention, and teams right ahead of them that I I I think we need to see how games play out right now, because there are a couple of games involving I think it's the South Windsor and Enfield playing each other, and they're sandwiching Darien right now. So I think Darien wants South Windsor to, yeah, you know what? I got to really look it over. I don't want to put misinformation out there, but I
Right.
think I can't tell if it's possible they could go into the game and already be in, but there are teams that are playing next week that have only played 8 games.
Right.
So it's hard to I think we need to see how they play out and how they
Yeah.
want it to go.
Yeah. It's gonna if they lose, it's gonna be close. They could get in and they could just miss. Like we were talking before the show, Enfield is right behind them, and they have two. Killingly's behind them, but Killingly, I don't know them, but it looks like they should beat their opponent, whoever they
Right.
play. And then
Enfield and
Enfield,
South Windsor play each other. That's one of
yeah.
the
So
games.
if Enfield wins their 2 games, that might propel them above
Okay.
Darien.
But the
Yeah,
South Windsor get bumped behind Darien. And
yeah,
what happens, but I'm not sure. It's it's possible that Darien could be in going into that game, which would be good for them.
right,
Uh, Obviously, they just want to get in, but they could be in a situation like last year where they need to win.
right. Yeah.
So
If they win, they're in.
yeah,
That's all
yeah.
you need to know.
From a sports writer standpoint, that puts a good angle on the game. From a Darien standpoint, they just want to be in, and if they got to play New Canaan 2 weeks in a row, so be it.
So be it. Yep.
I'll try to beat them. You know what? Darien goes out, beats New Canaan, and then they won't see him in the first round. So
Yeah. Yep.
unless they drop to like a 2-7 or a 3,
Well, I was gonna say
yeah,
unless Buchanan drops
yeah.
to 4 and they bump up to 5.
And then Wilton, and like I said, I think Wilton is in. Not that to me, the top 10 polls don't mean anything. I don't know. Do you, as a coach, did the top 10 when you had your really good teams, did top 10 matter to you?
You know what? Maybe I can only speak for maybe for schools that are not traditionally in the top 10.
Yeah,
Like it meant stuff. It meant
yeah,
to us to see
right.
Norwalk being listed with the big
It
schools.
was validation for you guys
Right,
that
right,
you're having
right.
a good year. But
Yeah,
in
yeah,
general, and I vote in the poll, so I'm a little. I don't pay great attention to the poll outside of just so I'm up on things, so I make an informed vote,
right.
and because I'm gonna vote, I take it seriously, but how it plays out. But it was interesting, and this is just to make conversation. But there was some Wilton father who was jumping all over the place taking videos during the game, and after Wilton went ahead, got excited, and asked me if Wilton's going to be a top 10 team right now, and I
Listen,
said
if you
I hated to burst his bubble. I I see them on the cusp of being a top 10 team. I don't see them. I've been voting them anywhere from like 12 to 15.
Yeah, I think they are.
Okay,
I
okay.
I just think they are just because again, you play the game, you got to finish the games out. They are not 2 plays a game. They are literally 2 plays away from being undefeated.
That's the
You
argument.
know,
That's the argument in favor of voting them up
yeah,
there. They
right,
played Canaan within a touchdown. They played Staples within a
right.
touchdown.
Exactly. So
Um,
if
yeah,
if they win one of those, not even both, if they win, let's just say they beat New Canaan.
yeah,
Now they're 8-1 with wins over quality opponents. Now I'll tell you what, if they win on Friday, no doubt about it, they're a top 10 team. If they beat Shelton, they're top 10.
yeah. And my feeling is right now, well, they didn't beat either of the teams. They played them. They played them
Right.
close. They played them close, and I mean, you know what? Again, does it matter if they're 10 or if they're 13? They just want to win Class Double M. They
That's
don't,
it. They
you
win
know.
that trophy, yeah.
If EJ can use it, look, they're disrespecting you. They have you at 13th, and then so be it, because that's how coaches use the poll. They're not if you get voted high, the coaches are saying to you, don't get your head so swelled up. Nobody cares about the polls. And if they
Yeah.
push it too low, it's look at the disrespect they have for you. They don't think you're any good.
It was fine. The year that we were very good, we were 9-2. We lost to New Canaan, a tough game during the regular season, and then we lost to Xavier, which was the best team it's still the best high school football team I've seen. And we were the only team that had a lead on them all year. Okay. Teams that we beat were getting more votes than us. And that's where I was like, all right, if you erased Norwalk High and you put Staples with that same resume, it would be a top 10 team, no doubt about it. So like that's the other half of it too. Like I know the FCIAC writers know about the FCIAC. but the guys up north don't know, and like just
I
like we
yeah,
don't know about the teams up north.
I'm the first to admit we're going by scores and
Right.
we're going by who beat who during the course of the year. But
Yeah.
I like to vote by the eye test.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I can rank FCI teams based on the eye test because
Right.
I've seen them play and you know I take that hand in hand with the record. But there's literally just about nobody who sees everybody.
Right.
You
Right.
know, one or two of the game time guys, you know, may get the chance to see almost everybody, but virtually nobody does. So
Right.
there's a certain degree of voting that's just not scientific.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's finish up here with Class M. St. Joe's loses 49-3, and what's their gift? They get, or what's their punishment? If they beat Trumbull on Thanksgiving, there's a good shot they're going to get into the Class M tournament
I think they're in. If they win.
if they
If
win.
I think if they win, they're in. I think they'll jump whoever because I think the team in front of them has a tough game. I think, or
Yeah,
either the team in seventh or eighth place has a tough game. So I think if they win, they will leapfrog them and they'll get a spot in the playoffs. And you know what, Coach Joe, hell of a job, man. Hell of a job. You know, if you get into the playoffs this year, the last 2 years, I would put the last 2 years of what he's done up with any coaching, you know, in recent history.
yeah, it'd be and this will be a topic maybe for next week, along with the other thing we had in mind here
Yeah.
is we got to get we'll make a list. We got a good number one. We're gonna try to do I'm gonna reach out to Lou Marinelli and maybe Mitch Ross and we'll do we didn't really we haven't discussed in depth the whole proposal for the revised football schedule that everybody hates and rightfully so. We're gonna in Connecticut, we're giving everybody a participatory
Yeah.
trophy before their first game of the year, and then we're gonna, you know, let's just do that and then
Yeah.
let's get
It-
serious.
if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know, Connecticut had a good system going. It was working well. And now for some reason, these people are like you said, let's just give a trophy to everybody. Everybody's 10-0. Here you go. You know, get your trophy. We'll give you a certificate. But yeah, we only got a couple minutes left. We'll save that for another time, Dave.
Yeah. It was interesting. You talked about Joe and real quick. You know, I'll be interested to see who wins Coach of the Year in the FCI. My instincts is it'll be Donnie for getting Stanford in, but you know, Mitch Ross probably first half of the year, and Mitch if they finish 7-3, definitely deserves some votes. You know, EJ at Wilton consideration. You know, Joe at St. Joseph if he gets him in, and even I mean Adam Behrens at Staples for, you know, getting them. They're gonna probably finish somewhere around top five. Yeah, there was it hasn't been a great season, but there's been a lot of good coaching done. I mean,
Yes.
I don't want to make that sound like this just came out of nowhere because there's the quality of coaching in the FCAC is quite high, which is why the FCAC traditionally does so well. But there've been a lot of good coaching jobs this year. A lot of coaches whose teams either we really missed it in the preseason or have really done a lot better than we thought they would.
Yeah, if I had to vote, I think it's you know, it's got to be Donnie. If I had to vote,
I'd vote Donnie right
but
now.
then I think if Joe win if St. Joe's wins on Thanksgiving and they make the playoffs, I think Joe D is a close second. Not a close Joe D's second, you know, but Donnie, you know what Donnie's done this year has been unbelievable.
And what he's done in that school in 2 years is
Yeah. Yep.
incredible.
Yep.
So, well, Sean, we already got a lot to talk about next, and I'll have a whole bunch of soccer talk for you, and field hockey and volleyball. We'll probably do another segment. I won't spare you, my. I'll get somebody. I know you follow it, and I know you're into it, but I'll get somebody. I'll have somebody to do non-football stuff. But next week we won't have any games to discuss, but we're gonna do a melting. We'll get ready for Thanksgiving, and we'll do a melting pot of things. So. Sean, thanks a lot and have a good week.
You too, Dave.
And that's the Ruden Report podcast. Again, thanks to Sean Ireland. Thanks to Cooper Boardman for the great sound editing and production. Lots happen in the next 7 days. We'll be back to talk about it next week. Until then, take care.